Hello and thanks for joining us on Nationwide. I am Dennis Adigunloye. We'll begin by telling you that President Bola Tinubu has arrived in N'Djamena to attend the inauguration of Mahamat Idris Deby as President of Chad. We'll have more details in our subsequent bulletins. Life will get better for Nigerians under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. More words of encouragement and assurance from the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, as the ministerial press briefings commenced ahead of the first anniversary of the current administration. All right, we'll get that report to you in the course of the bulletin. In the meantime, let's go to the National Assembly, where the Senate has passed for second reading a bill that makes provision for Nigeria to revert to the old national anthem, Nigeria, We Hail Thee. In the lead debate, sponsor of the bill and Senate leader Okpeyemi Bamidele noted that the old anthem inspires a sense of patriotism in Nigerians. Lawmakers, while making contributions on the bill, acknowledged that the old anthem symbolizes Nigeria's rich cultural heritage and should therefore be utilized for national identity and to promote unity.
Retrospect, the anthem served as regular and constant reminder of our journey as a nation and provoked feelings of nostalgia and fond memories of the country's early years.
Meanwhile, the bill has been referred to the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters for further legislative action. And the House of Representatives has expeditiously considered and passed the National Anthem Bill 2024, which prescribes that the country reverts to the old national anthem with the lyrics, Nigeria, We Hail Thee. The bill passed first, second, and third reading on the floor of the House at Thursday's plenary. House Leader Julius Ihonvere led the debate for the second reading of the bill, after which the House dissolved into the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration of the bill, leading to its eventual passage. In the course of the bulletin, let's head to Kano, where the Kano State House of Assembly has repealed all the laws that established the 5 emirate councils currently in existence in the state. This came to light during Thursday's plenary session. Samira Hamisu Shira reports on this and other engagements in the hallowed chamber.
That were repealed are Kano State Emir's Appointment and Deposition Law 2019, Kano State Emirate Council Amendment Bill 2019, and Kano State Emirate Council Amendment Laws of 2020. New bill, Kano State Emirate Council Repeal Bill 2024, that seeks to abrogate all the 5 emirates and offices created in the Principal Law of 2019, is being considered for enactment. Majority Leader Lawal Hussein said the amendment becomes necessary to restore and preserve the traditional values and morals of the historical Kano Emirate, which was haphazardly distorted by the previous administration in the state.
It is necessary, sir, to restore, preserve, and protect the Kano Emirate system as it historically existed and was traditionally recognized for the continued peace. When these 5 emirate councils are established or are found,
There should be other great towns like Kano Metropolitan to avoid migration from the rural areas to the Kano city.
After consideration at the Committee of the Whole, Order 7, Rule 6A was suspended to allow for third reading and subsequent passage.
And for the other matters committed herewith are hereby passed.
However, members of the opposition party staged a walkout after the minority whip, Ayuba Labaran Duro of Kabo constituency, raised an observation but was overruled. The House has been adjourned to Friday, the 24th of April 2024, where the House is suspected to commence deliberations on a new bill that will make provisions for appointing second-class emirs in the state. From the Kano State House of Assembly, Samira Hamisu Shera, NTA News.
Well, Samira joins us live now from Kano to give us further updates on the situation there. Samira, we have heard in your report that the position of the State Assembly, who has repealed the laws establishing the existing 5 emirate councils. Just give us more insight into this development.
Okay, hi Dennis and welcome to Kano. It all began earlier this week when the Kano State Emirate Council law was recalled at a plenary by the Kano State House of Assembly. Then the first reading was done during Wednesday's plenary, and today, in the second reading of this law was done. 3 laws were repealed, meaning in simple terms, these 3 laws have been discarded. They are the laws that have created the 5 newly emirates in Kano State, and they have enacted a new law that will abrogate all these 5 emirate councils. With this, the provision of the new law is that there is going to be a first-class emir. That means reversing to status quo to preserve the historical Kano Emirate Council. And the House has been adjourned till tomorrow, where in a good day the House does not sit on Thursdays and Fridays, but on this occasion the House has been adjourned till tomorrow, the 24th of May 2024, where the House will begin deliberations on a new law that will allow for the establishment of second-class emirs in the state.
And Samira, have you been able to get some reactions from residents there on this development?
From here, I just went to the government house, and believe me, the quality of the state is very calm. People are going about their normal activities. That you won't even say that because the law is yet to be assented by the governor. Maybe we should wait for when the law has been assented.
Samira, many thanks. Many thanks, Samira, for giving us that update from the Kano State House of Assembly. Now, the 77th World Health Assembly begins in Geneva, Switzerland from 27th May to 1st June with the theme for this year's assembly, All for Health, Health for All. During the assembly, a series of strategic roundtables will be held with discussions on current and future priorities for public health issues of global importance. The Pan-African Epidemic and Pandemic Working Group has, however, called on the African Union to table a motion to postpone the votes for the draft World Health Organization Pandemic Agreement and amendments to the international health regulations. The group in a statement says the adoption of any amendments to the IHR at the 77th World Health Assembly are being processed in an unlawful manner, contrary to the IHR procedure for amending the regulations. And joining us live is Dr. Patrick Ijewere, expert on nutrition and wellness, to discuss more on the 77th World Health Assembly, which centered on hypertension. Dr. Patrick, you're very welcome.
Good afternoon, good evening. Delighted to be here. Thank you for the privilege.
All right, during the assembly, a series of strategic roundtables will be held. Can you speak to us more on some of the issues that are expected on the table?
There are several issues on the table, but the major concern is the way that this assembly has been brought together is actually in violation of many of the established rules, international laws that bind the assembly. And so if there are violations, whatever comes out of this assembly is either null and void or in, again, violation. So the issue becomes, what are these steps that have not been done in proper order to make the assembly a legitimate assembly? Number one, there should have been 4 months time announcement that amendments, for instance, would be discussed and even made. These 4 months is the standard agreement that all nations. Now, the Assembly has said, well, there was an initial draft put out in February of 2023, but that's not what the rule is saying. The rule is very clear, and that those 4 months have not been done. Number two, in the rules, specifically I think rules 8, 10, 11, and one other one, it's 15, very clear. There should be no rush to any kind of agreement. There should be absolute full due diligence, hence the amount of time that is normally allotted. What's the rush? Why suddenly abbreviating the time for these discussions? There must be full disclosure. If you're asking member states to sign on some new agreement or amendment, they ought to know exactly what are the terms. It's that simple. What are the terms? Complete disclosure, even as far detailed as the financial implications. Otherwise, you're asking members to sign on a document and then, more or less give you a blank check for future financial obligations. Come on, in any corporate body, that is not the rule of law. Members must be very clear up front what are the terms, what are the details, what are the obligations, before they now engage in any kind of signature on behalf of their constituents. These are the major issues of contention why many organizations globally, not only here in Nigeria, but globally, not only here in Africa, but globally, are saying that this assembly is going to end up with a lot of amendments or rules that are in violation of its own stipulated protocols, and even some illegality.
All right, Dr. Patrick, in the context of everything you've said, what do you hope will be the outcome of this assembly?
One, it's a delay. Follow the proper protocol. Give all member states the 4 months to go and do their due diligence. Give them the time they normally expect to have to go into their own countries, speak to their elected officials, engage in discussions, and then come up in agreement with these amendments or not. That's the first one. Give the standard allotted 4 months interval for everyone to do their due diligence. That's the outcome we want first. And then delay this assembly. There's no rush for the assembly to occur right now.
Hey, Dr. Patrick Ijire, many thanks for giving us your perspectives and thoughts on this forthcoming assembly. Thank you.
Thank you.
In the meantime, health experts have associated stress, anxiety, often fueled by socioeconomic conditions such as poverty and insecurity, as some of the major causes of high blood pressure, especially among the younger generation. Jane Francis Obi tells us more.
In Anambra State, findings show that hypertension is becoming a more common health challenge. The Chief Medical Director, Chukwuemeka Odimegwu Ojukwu University Teaching Hospital, Anambra State, speaks more on the condition.
What is actually called secondary hypertension starts after the age of 40 years. So after the age of 40 years, people have the tendency, particularly genetic tendency, to develop hypertension. They start increasing in number, but it's also a cause in younger people. But what we are seeing now is that we are getting much younger people having diabetes and hypertension.
When there is increased awareness, people will now go and check. So what we are doing now, we did a survey last year where we found out that at least 2 out of every 8 to 10 persons, 3 out of 8 to 10 persons is hypertensive.
There are food you eat which is salty or that contains chemicals that can aggravate hypertension in human. That is why we normally advise people to eat natural food.
Findings from a cross-section of the public reveal indifference in health checks.
I remember last time I went for checkup.
I've not gone for long.
I go for checks once in 3 months.
At least 2 to 3 months.
From time to time, I used to go for medical checkup.
Max 2, 3, I won't even remember the last time.
Across the age brackets, the advice is for one to have a positive disposition, get what you need and not what you want, have a planned budget, take responsibility for healthy practices, and let regular checkups be key. In Oka, Jane Francis Obi, NTA News.
And Jane joins us live from Oka to talk more on this prevalence of high blood pressure among the young. Hello, Jane. Just tell us what is the situation there currently with regards to this situation of high blood pressure.
Good afternoon and welcome to Oka. The Anambra State government has identified hypertension as a possible health threat in the state and is currently undergoing an aggressive campaign against the disease. The government has introduced free hypertension checks in all the primary health care centers and government hospitals in the state. This is for easy collection of data, treatment, and advice on the best control and management for diet and management of hypertension for patients.
What steps, shall we say, have been taken by stakeholders and the Anambra State government to address this problem and this trend in efforts to reduce the burden of this disease?
The question again, sir.
What steps are these stakeholders as well as the state governments taking? What steps are they taking to address this disturbing trend and efforts to reduce the burden?
The prevalence of the disease, about 50% of the population is already hypertensive from age 30 and above. And these are mostly people living in urban areas. As a result, the Anambra State government has established free hypertension checks in all the government hospitals and health care centers in the state. They also offer free counseling and advice on the best diet options to tackle and manage the disease.
Jane, many thanks for that from Oka. Jane reporting there. Well, we're still talking health as Mary Replong Domtour is joining us for more stories from that zone. Hello, Mary, how's it going?
Good evening and welcome to JUS. National Assembly House Committee on Health says the sector will be given the desired attention to enable it provide the needed services to Nigerians. Chairman of the committee, Amos Gomna Magaji, stated this during an oversight visit to JUS University Teaching Hospital, JUTS. Caleb Goching has the details.
The members, shortly on arrival in Jos, availed Governor Caleb Mutfwang of their mission in the state.
We want to ensure that our institutions are equipped, our institutions are well positioned to receive people from different parts of Nigeria and other parts of the world.
The governor decried the state of public health institutions in the country, calling for urgent steps to reposition them.
I'm hoping and praying that you will use your good offices to improve the funding of this premier institution.
The committee members hit the ground running as they interacted with heads of department, management and union of the University Teaching Hospital. The challenges are numerous, ranging from decaying infrastructure, obsolete and inadequate equipment, as well as staff welfare. With this in their minds, the members proceeded on an on-the-spot assessment of facilities within the hospital, where concerns were raised by the chairman.
One of the goal of this 10th Assembly is Committee on Health Institution is to see how medical tourism will be reversed.
Chief Medical Director, Youth, Dr. Pokop Upwada, is optimistic that with the visit, The needed intervention is in sight.
We believe their coming will definitely improve the funding come 2025 to Jos University Teaching Hospital, and with that we'll be able to do what we can do to ensure that we give the best quality health services that Nigerians deserve.
In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
Plateau State Police Command is expressing commitment to getting rid of criminal elements in the state as it parades a number of suspects involved in different crimes. Among them, a 17-year-old student who attempted to rob a bank in Dadinkoa. Again, Caleb Gochin has the details.
Commissioner of Police, Plateau State Command, Emmanuel Adeshina, highlighted the crimes to include that coming from Wase, where one Suleiman Mohamadu was arrested for robbing one Danladi Venim of his motorcycle. Items recovered from him include a locally fabricated AK-47 rifle and ammunition. Another is the arrest of 2 suspects in connection with criminal conspiracy, armed robbery, and culpable homicide in November 2023, involving one Johnson Kanje and Suleiman Aliyu, with the names of the suspects given as Yuguda Abubakar and Hassan Yuguda of Bashar District. The latest is that of the arrest of 17-year-old suspected suicide bomber who was apprehended at a bank in Dadinkoa.
After analyzing the alleged bomb that he wired around his body by the experts, the EOD, it was discovered that it was not actually bomb.
Meanwhile, the force has confirmed the dismissal of the police inspector who chopped off the hand of his wife during an argument in Jos. The command, while appreciating the citizens of the state for their cooperation, calls on all to be vigilant and report all suspected movements for prompt action. In Jos, Caleb Gochin, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Jos. Nationwide continues in our Benin studio with Anwuli, but after this break. Good evening.
Evening, you're welcome to Benin. Governor Gordon Obaseki has launched the Feed the Poor initiative, tagged Muslim feeding program to cushion the effects of the harsh economic realities on Muslims in the state. The event, which held at the Hajj Pilgrimage Campground in Benin, was an opportunity for the governor to bid farewell to intending Muslims for this year's Hajj. Good Dr. Naini reports.
The event is coming at a time the Muslim pilgrims are set to take off to the Holy Land for this year's Hajj. Chairman Edo State Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board Sheikh Ibrahim Oyarekwa gave a breakdown of the intending pilgrims.
We have the total number of 330 pilgrims, 164 male and of course 136 female.
Some Muslim cleric underscored the gains of the governor's visits.
We would never forget you, whether in or outside of office.
We will tell you thank you through this prayer and possibly supporting your mission for this state.
The governor urged intending pilgrims for the 2024 Hajj in Saudi Arabia to pray for Nigeria, assuring Muslims that his successor will continue to identify with them. He expressed confidence in the ability of Aswe Igudalu and his running mate Osa Dioge to continue in the vision of total transformation of the states.
As you go for Hajj this year, note that there are so many people who cannot eat, so many people who cannot see what tomorrow will bring for them. It is your responsibility to please help us pray for Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the governor flagged off the feeding program meant to provide some basic needs to the poor in the society. This, he said, is to ease the burden on mosques and leadership. 14,000 bags of rice and over 4,000 bags of beans are to be distributed to Muslims across the 3 senatorial districts of the states. In Benin, Goodluck Inaini, NTA News.
The new Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of ICT and South-South Zone, Daniel Sakari Pedro, has commended police personnel serving in Edo State for their commitment and resilience, which he said is evident in some of the recent successes recorded in crime fighting in the state. DIG Sokari Pedro gave the commendation during a familiarization tour of Edo State Police Command headquarters. Obeyo Tobar-Presai reports.
On arrival at the police headquarters, the new Deputy Inspector General inspected guard mounted in his honor. In his address to the officers, DIG Sokari Pedro commended the efforts of the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 5, AIG Arungwa Nwaozwe, and the State Commissioner of Police, CP Funsho Adegboye. He urged the personnel to be more focused in their fight against crimes and criminality in the state.
The CP has been doing a yeoman's job, and the AIG by my right hand side is not only a cosmic, but it's also a workaholic. Edo State, since the coming of the CP, has been able to stem crime. But nevertheless, there are things which we need to discuss in-house, which you may not be privy to.
In his response, the State Commissioner of Police, Funsho Adegboye, mentioned some challenges confronting the command in its operations.
We are appealing to you, sir, so that you can inform the IGP, sir, that we have a twist. We want more.
Thereafter, the DIG held a closed-door meeting with the officers, especially as the next governorship election is around the corner. In Benin, Obeyo Tobar-Presai, NTA News.
And that's our contribution. Nationwide continues in Abuja with Dennis Adegunloye.
Thanks very much, Anwili. Now, the federal government has alerted the public on an outbreak of poison among cattle in Ilorin, Kwara State, and has warned against consuming sick animals. A statement from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security also warns Nigerians against consuming slaughtered animals at unregistered government and private spots, such as abattoirs, slaughter slabs, and meat shops, among others. This is as a result of a mortality herd incident at Mande Cattle Market in Kwara State on Saturday, April 20th, where the herders slaughtered 7 affected animals for public consumption. The ministry observed that the animals had grazed on the forest that was fumigated with organophosphate chemical before the incident, adding that on noticing this, the herders decided to slaughter 7 of the affected animals for public consumption. Despite the battle against gender-based violence, it is on the increase in Kebbi State. The case of Shawa Ibrahim, a 15-year-old girl who suffered physical and psychological abuse at the hands of her uncle, is a heartbreaking example that has brought up the need for more hands to be on deck. Hassanna Abubakar Koko has more.
6th of May this year, around 10 o'clock in the morning, Shawa was taken to Yahya Memorial Hospital by a good Samaritan who found her on the way with a chronic leg ulcer resulting from a fire incident, along with a small boy whose father happens to be her uncle. Narrating her ordeal, Shawa Ibrahim said she had fled from home for more than 2 weeks due to the abuse and molestation by her uncle. According to her, she lost her mother a long time ago, and her father, a police officer currently in Lagos, entrusted her care to his brother, who took advantage of her.
I left home because of molestation. I'm not married, but this boy you are seeing, it was my uncle that impregnated me. He's almost 2 years, but up till now, he cannot walk.
When contacted, the management of Yahya Memorial Hospital in Birnin Kebbi said on arrival at the facility, a team of surgeons evaluated the victim and commenced treatment on the affected leg.
In fact, when we interviewed her why she doesn't want to go home to continue treatment on an outpatient basis, she said if she goes back home, he will continue to beat her. So physical assault, physical abuse, psychological abuse.
We are working hand in hand to see the complete eradication of gender, of violence of all types, women, children, male, female, in the state.
From January 2024 to May 2024, we had like 50 or more convictions of GBV cases, and the courts are working. and we are working tirelessly to see the end of this menace.
This case has since been reported to the State Ministry of Health and Humanitarian Affairs. The case of Shawa is one of the many recorded and unrecorded gender-based violence in Kebbi State, which is generating more concerns by the day. From Birnin Kebbi, Hassana Abubakar Koko, NTA.
Well, still talking about the prevalence of gender-based violence in Kebbi State, Hassana Abubakar Koko is standing by in Birnin Kebbi. Hello, Hassana. Quite a sad case there with that 15-year-old Shawa. How disturbing is this menace in Kebbi State?
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us in Birnin Kebbi. And the issue of gender-based violence undermines the health, dignity, and security of a victim, as you have just seen in that report. And statistics have indicated that from January 2024 to May 2024, about 50 or more than 50 cases have been secured, and out of which more than 50 convictions have been secured, out of which some have passed legal advice, and as well as prosecution and judgment. And this issue of gender-based violence in Kebbi State has generated a series of concern from both stakeholders and other individuals within the state. This is because recently the wife of the governor held a meeting with other stakeholders in order to strategize efforts and discuss on the way forward. And during the meeting also, a committee was constituted under the chairmanship of the wife of the governor, and the committee comprises of government officials, civil society organizations, and security as well as health personnel, and legal practitioners and the media, among others. And this committee is also saddled with the responsibility of ensuring proper implementation of GBV cases in the state, as well as education and enlightenment of GBV victims, and also treatment and care. And there are also focal officers at these various local government areas across the state. And apart from the technical working group set up by the wife of the governor, there is also the Hisba committee, which is working hand in hand with the state government. And this Hisba committee has been in existence for many years, and they deal with issue of moral decadence in the society. And there is also the engagement of traditional as well as religious leaders. As we all know, the importance of religious and traditional leaders in any given society cannot be overemphasized. There is also the issue of SAC Center, establishment of Sexual Assault Referral Center. This center was established during the previous administration, and it has serve as a referral center where victims can report their cases as well as receive treatment, and it is situated in one of the biggest state-owned healthcare facility, that is the Calgo Medical Center. And there is also the issue of the present administration under the leadership of Governor Nasir Idris. The Ministry of Justice has established two designated courts that are responsible for GBV cases in order to have speedy and easy dispensation of justice. And apart from this also, there is also the establishment, as I have said, many mechanisms have been put in place by the state government, which, if properly being used, the issue of gender-based violence in Kebbi State will be brought to the barest minimum, if not properly tackled.
All right, Hassan, many thanks for that. We certainly hope all these efforts combined will go some way to curbing this menace, and we'll see less of it over there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's now head to Lagos, where Ingano John Adams is on standby. Hello, Ingano.
Hello, Dennis. While trying to cope with their losses and start afresh after the fire outbreak that destroyed their businesses, traders at the popular Dosumu market are appealing to the Lagos State government to create a small and medium-scale arena where affordable prices for petty traders who cannot afford to rent shops in other markets in the metropolis. Some affected traders made the appeal when correspondent Diana Ajale revisited the market for a situation report.
These men and women finding shelter under umbrellas are not just street hawkers as seen. They were once shop owners and occupants from the affected 22 buildings at Dosumu, Pedro, Idumagbo and Oba Akintoye markets, destroyed as a result of fire outbreak that occurred on the 9th of April 2024.
This one is too much to bear. We are soliciting for government, if there's any way government can help us out.
Other traders also speak on their plight.
All the work that I do for 28 years, I was there, everything go and turn to ashes. Nobody pick pin. We are just coming here. So it's just like from grade to grass. What we lose here is billions of nairas.
Lagos State government to try and beat down the price of the shop, because now this thing that happen now will give them more chance to increase the price of the shops. Shop that should be 1.5, they might increase to 2 million.
What is the plan to rebuild, relocate traders and those who are in buildings that failed integrity tests?
Lagos State government, they collected our name and later call us one by one day to come and fill form. We fill the form, your name, everything, your shop number, we fill everything. For the old Dosumu that got burnt, we've not heard the outcome of the form.
While the traders are still finding it difficult to put the incident behind them, they, however, appeal to relevant authorities to come to their aid, as life has not been the same since the fire incident. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Talking maritime now, crafting a sustainable future for women in the maritime industry must start with promoting gender balancing and stimulating the need for proper placement of the female folk in positions of authority without bias. Experts say implementing this as policy direction will propel rapid growth of the shipping industry in Africa. Michael Olale reports.
Despite the huge opportunities abound in the maritime sector, there are less than 2% of women within the industry contributing their quota to the advancement of global trade. Proponents of gender equality believe this is a mismatch based on the simple dictum that if the ship is she and the water is she, then women should be allowed to sail the ship. As a way of driving this idea to reality, women pressure groups believe there is need for proper placement and integration of female gender into key decision-making positions.
We are advocating for proper placement without bias by our male counterparts. It's high time that we are being seen as good technocrats and not just like another female.
In a bid to ensure this goal is achieved, practitioners are intensifying advocacy, and this ride on a tugboat in which the captain is a woman, stakeholders say, will inspire the younger generation to seek future careers from the more than 150 professions that can be explored by women.
It is known that women are very detailed and we're kind of very focused in our approach. So I think it is time for the government to start looking into having women take so much roles.
Beyond the quest for equality, key players say training, certification, and expertise are necessary for proper integration.
All crew members that are working on the vessel have knowledge of the STCW Manila Amendment 2010 for them to be able to work based on safety.
The consensus going forward is that with proper implementation of gender parity policy in the maritime sector, harnessing the opportunities for growth will be simplified. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Time for some messages. Nationwide will continue from Ibadan after this break.
You're still on Nationwide and welcome to Ibadan. Wife of the Inspector General of Police and President, Police Officers' Wives Association, Elizabeth Egbetokun is seeking collaboration with the Oyo State government to empower women in sustainable agriculture towards mitigating economic situation in the country. Kehinde Omolosho reports that this was during her visit to Governor Seyi Makinde in his office.
Wife of the Inspector General of Police, Elizabeth Egbetokun, reiterated the importance of women engaging in agriculture and small-scale businesses to generate income and contribute to their families, which she says will reduce financial burden on the family. She expressed optimism that collaboration with the Oyo State government will help alleviate the economic challenges in the country.
We aim to support initiatives that promote sustainable agriculture and empower farming communities, thereby contributing to the overall prosperity of the state.
Deputy Governor Oyo State Bayo Lawal noted that government has put in place measures to alleviate the economic challenges, while partnership with POA will further address the economic situation in the country.
And when we are able to feed ourselves, we have significantly reduced poverty in the land.
Mrs. Egbetokun was also at the palace of the Olubadan designate Oba Owolabi Olakuleyin. High point of the visit was the empowerment of police widows and the vulnerable with sewing machines, grinding machines, hairdressing machines, makeup kits, gas cookers, and 25-kilogram bags of rice. Our advice to the beneficiaries is to make judicious use of the empowerment tools and not to sell them. Kehinde Omolosho, NTA News.
And in Osun State, the governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has emphasized that ensuring quality education are given to students remains his priority. As a promise to employ more qualified teachers, Governor Adeleke gave the assurance at the flag-off of the distribution of exercise books to public secondary schools in the state. Femi Afariogun tells us more.
The distribution of exercise books is strategically to public secondary schools in Osun State after conducting a need assessment on some schools. With the reintroduction of the school feeding program in the state, Governor Ademola Adeleke explained that the distribution exercise is part of the holistic approach his government is adopting to revamp the education sector in the state.
Students should endeavor to maximize the opportunities offered by the administration to prepare themselves for a glorious future. On our part, as a government, we shall remain focused, committed, and resolute about our avowed resolve to getting education right in Osun State.
The Commissioner for Education, Mr. Dipo Eluole, and other stakeholders stated that the provision of the exercise books will ease the burden of acquiring school materials by parents.
Your drive and passion for qualitative education has upgraded the College of Education into a full-fledged university.
The distribution exercise is a fallout of the Education Summit organized by Osun State government last year. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
And that's it from Ibadan. Nationwide continues in Abuja with Dennis.
Thank you, Kemi. Now let's go back to one of our earlier stories where life will get better for Nigerians under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. Words from the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, at the ministerial briefing, which commenced ahead of the first anniversary of the current administration. Salihu Guanara reports.
Presentation of scorecards by the ministers under the Renewed Hope government is a major activity to mark the first-year anniversary of the current administration. It is also to amplify the activities of the government in line with the first pillar of the Ministry of Information and National Orientation.
We have already started laying the solid and enduring foundation over the last 12 months. Landmark initiatives like the Consumer Credit Corporation, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, the 200 billion naira Presidential Grant and Loan Scheme, Our agriculture and food security efforts, including the launch of a dry season farming and massive fertilizer distribution, the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, the Renewed Hope Cities and Estates Program, our reform efforts in the electricity sector and in the area of taxes and fiscal policy, and the negotiation for a befitting new national minimum wage. All of this and many more are policies and programs that will directly touch and improve the lives and livelihoods of tens of millions of Nigerians.
The minister used the occasion to relaunch the Nigerian national web portal www.nigeria.gov.ng as one-stop shop and a gateway to national communication.
This will be the gateway of all the things that you want to know, whether you are in Nigeria or overseas, about the government and people of Nigeria.
The day one was witnessed by many, including the special advisor to the president on policy and coordination and head Central Delivery Coordination Unit, Hadiza Bala Osman. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has directed a comprehensive review of the recently announced governing boards of tertiary institutions in the country before the inauguration and retreat being planned for the nominees. The Federal Ministry of Education recently released names of nominees for chairman, pro-chancellors and members of the boards and councils of universities, polytechnics and colleges of education. It's also announced that the inauguration and retreat for the nominees will take place on 31st of May. However, public reaction showed that the nominations did not reflect the federal character of the country, as some states got just one nomination while others got several. In directing a complete review of the list of members, President Tinubu acknowledges the feedback across the country. The President is committed to ensuring strict compliance with the principle of federal character as entrenched in the Constitution. The review will also take into consideration the national spread and ensure every part of the country is adequately represented. And with that, we conclude Nationwide. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adigunloye.